Hello everyone, Presley7 here, back with more Bloons TD6, and this time with Bloonarius being here, is going to be Consumer Buffed Elite Defender, beat Bloonarius. Continue on with the Sniper Craze, just did Lich, so now it's, yes, Bloonarius this time. So, if you didn't see the last video, basically, in the most recent update, bottom pass Sniper, specifically, I think it's like, full auto and beyond, did get extra MOAB damage, so I guess bottom path is going to be a straight up MOAB damage tower. So I think it's like, I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's like +3 for Elite Defender, +3 MOAB damage for Elite Defender, and full auto rifle got like, I think 1 or 2, something around that sounds a bit correct. So I assume that, with the increased MOAB damage, and just, well, top path sniper, or bottom path with, top path, cross path, would probably be enough to beat Bloonarius, seeing it's only like 3 million HP, with the fast attack speed of Elite Defender, and of course, we have Ultra Boost and whatever. I figured it wouldn't be too hard, although the map this time is Spice Islands, which is a bit interesting. It changes up my farming strategy entirely, since I have to rely on bottom path boat for, yes, early game farming, although I do get a banana farm just to help speed up this early game farming. Merchantman is a lot more expensive in BTD6 than it is in Battles 2. In Battles 2, it's like 1800, and BTD6, it's 2300, so it's a huge leap in price, and they only generate 220 per round versus Merchantman in Battles 2 generates 300 per round. So it is a huge leap, and it's kind of crazy to think that, like, even though Merchantman, has gotten a huge buff, it's not just kind of that great in Battles 2, so that's kind of unfortunate. So of course, early game is just going to be very, I guess, it's not really like anything too different. It really is just affording bottom path boat as soon as possible. Also, I am going for the very greedy play here, as I assume money might be a bit of an issue, but it wasn't like too bad. A sniper is like really cheap, especially just like Elite Defender in general. It doesn't cost too much, so I don't really have to like farm like incredibly hard in order to actually beat the first tier Lich. I only need like 15k in order to afford a 025 sniper. Going for 025 for tier 1, as I do need something for the ceramics. Also, this is where the shrapnel being affected by alk buff also comes in handy, even though I do think that it doesn't really affect Elite Defender too much, although it does help for semi-auto and full auto rifle. Shrapnel being affected by alk buff is actually a pretty good thing here, even though for bottom pass sniper you generally don't out buff it. Alright, so for tier 1, I want to see if I could be greedy here and actually not go for Elite Defender immediately. I figure that full auto probably would be enough, as it admittedly is only 20k HP, even though, I am missing the damage from top path. I was just kind of hoping that full auto would be more than enough in order to actually beat the first tier. And it is doing fairly decent, although I would like it to do a bit more damage. This is a short map compared to all the other maps we've had for just Elite Bloon, or just Bloonarius in general. And of course, it is Spice Island, so there isn't a lot of land here anyways. So I did want it to be a bit faster, so I decided, it probably would be worth it to eventually just get Elite Defender just in case. Because of course, Elite Defender does attack faster the farther the Bloonarius is along the track. So after buying Elite Defender, I completely forgot that I actually need to set my Elite Defender back to first, so I ended up dying to the first ceramic wave due to full auto actually being on strong. So I guess that was just kind of a mistake on my part. So I just ended up selling a few merchantments yet again for Elite Defender. Make sure I actually set it on first. As you can see, well, it's actually pretty good against the ceramic wave. Shrapnel, especially alk buff, is really good. Now, I originally wanted to do this with Grandmaster Ninja, but I figured that Grandmaster probably wouldn't be too great here, as there really isn't a lot of land or just general space, especially for like shinobis or anything. I think, of course, it is possible using ice platforms with absolute zero and snowstorm and all of that, but of course that's really expensive to do, and I assume that I'd probably need a few shinobis for like the first few tiers. So I figured that it'd probably just be better just to do sniper here and just kind of do whatever. Although who knows, I might do this again and actually try out Grandmaster Ninja. Anyways, that was tier 1. That was fairly easy. Although I'd kind of expect this from, you know, just Elite Defender. Anyways, for tier 2, I hope that a, you know, Elite Sniper would actually be more than enough to just help Elite Defender along, and you know, it is pretty good. Well, the ceramic cluster is a bit stronger here, and I don't have alk buff, as I figured I probably wouldn't have space for it. But you know, Elite Sniper is definitely gonna help out a fair bit. You know, I guess it's not really a nerf; it's just kind of a rework, I guess. So again, for the first ceramic cluster, wasn't actually that bad. It did get like semi-far, but was fairly easy. So tier 2, again, was also fairly easy. This was good as it did allow me to focus on farming, as of course, you know, while merchantman armies are fairly good, this is a merchantman army without any like bottom path farms, which is kind of where, you know, merchantmen actually shine. So without that, and you know, I don't really want to get ice platforms in order to get those. I figured probably just be better off just like going to boats entirely. As you can see, your speed's the name of the game, just like with snipers versus lich. Elite Defender is actually doing fairly good at, you know, just like killing the tiers of lich in actually a pretty decent time. And you know, I haven't even stacked any buffs on it. The only thing I have is jungle drums and, you know, the elite sniper buff, and that's just about it. So I was kind of excited to see, you know, just like what Elite Defender could do for the like the rest of the tiers. Alright, so anyways, for the next tier being tier 3, I was actually able to afford an Ultra Boost and Perma Brew for the tier 3. I figured that these two buffs would probably be the strongest buffs I can actually give the Elite Defender at the moment. Ultra Boost actually wasn't as helpful as I thought it would be. I thought Ultra Boost would actually be fairly good and absolutely drain the HP, although it's not really doing like as much damage as I thought it would. Although it still is good enough to actually, you know, beat it before Lich actually exits. I do have to remember, Elite Defender does stack faster the farther along Bloons are on the track. I was also debating whether or not it was worth taking advantage of the like life loss buff from Elite Defender. Although I didn't actually try manipulating or doing any of that for Bloonarius, I didn't really feel like it was necessary. Probably for tier 5, but again, you know, it just kind of was a bit late. I was lazy to do that. Also, doing that for tier 5 would be pretty difficult, as I'm not really sure how you would purposely leak entire ceramic in order to activate that buff. Maybe if I brought like a Zealy or something like that, you know, I could actually use her totem in order to purposely, you know, leak a life in order to activate that buff. But I figured that, you know, Ben would definitely be better here. It's the early game caches, definitely very necessary to get my first farm up, then, you know, sell that farm to get my trade empire or merchantman army up just a wee bit faster. Even though money wasn't a huge concern for, you know, for this, it still just want to make sure, you know, I actually had enough to do what I had to do. Alright, so for tier 4, sitting on almost $500,000, I could have bought Sun Temple if I really wanted to, although that would require me to sell like all my merchantmen, pretty much all my income around, in order to actually be able to, I guess, you know, properly sacrifice in order to, I guess, just like do what I had to. So I figured, you know, I'd probably just wait on that, as I didn't really need it now. Seeing how Elite Defender is actually doing against Bloonarius right now, I figured that I probably wouldn't need it. Just as the OMGs are definitely just a bit of a worry, as you know, single target damage of course is strong, but you know, of course, the insides and the ceramics and whatnot, stuff where Elite Defender is gonna fall behind and struggle. As you can see here, it is taking just kind of a while in order to beat the ZOMG insides, but it wasn't, you know, just like terrible or awful or anything. The DPS for Elite Defender was actually pretty insane, as you'll see by like tier 5 when I do stack max buffs on this. I did have, you know, just like a bit of idea while I was recording for this video. I was thinking, you know, what if I like got, you know, the Boat Paragon Nav Arc of the Seas and, you know, put Elite Defender on top of it and see, you know, if Elite Defender could like out-pop the Nav Arc of the Seas. I figured, you know, that would be too much of a hassle to do, as again I would need to spam a few ice platforms in order to actually, you know, put all the buffs and whatnot onto Elite Defender. Thankfully, Paragons can't be buffed at the moment. Hopefully when the Engineered Paragon gets released, you know, you can actually buff Paragons. That would be pretty cool, to be honest, if you could like overclock Paragons, but hopefully, but maybe, you know, NK decide that, you know, just Paragons won't be buffed in general. Although I'm not really sure how that would work with the village buff then. Anyways, like I said, you know, the ZOMG insides was definitely going to be the most difficult thing about, you know, just like Bloonarius. You can see they are getting, you know, just very far. I'm just watching, you know, pausing, just waiting to see, like, you know, if I was about to die. I was debating whether or not I should risk it there. I decided against it as I figured that, you know, it wasn't really worth risking it for. I would just get, like, you know, just a couple of Sabos or something just to help out a bit. As you know, Sabos do count support. I generally don't go for them as my towers I super buff generally don't struggle against, you know, just like the Bloons. It's mainly just Bloonarius to struggle against. Of course, you can't slow down Bloonarius in any way, so it's not really worth it going Sabo. Alright, so after retrying yet again, you can see I'm having to use Sabo for these MOABs here, as Elite Defender really does struggle against just like tightly grouped Bloons. So I guess it's just generally what snipers struggle against. So I guess that's what middle path is for. But, you know, seeing as, you know, I think Elite Sniper's set on Elite Targeting. Actually, no. It's set on first, but, you know, just because it's not, doesn't have any buffs on it or anything, it's not really too useful against the Super Ceramics at the moment. So, of course, here is now the last goal of the ZOMGs, using Sabo and Absolute Zero, just to slow down the ZOMGs just a bit further and give more time for Elite Defender to pop them. I did have XXL trap here helping out, although I didn't really notice it actually doing anything, but it might have, who knows. And so with that basically is well, tier 4. Elite Defender could easily slow this last, you know, couple 100,000 HP that Bloonarius has, so it's just kind of just a waiting game for waiting around for tier 5, and, you know, eventually just having to sell my merchantmen for the Sun Temple. Alright, so for tier 5, the final tier, I can actually afford a cripple mob immediately, which was a bit unfortunate. Although thankfully for just the support temple, you know, buffs and end around cash it gives, I was able to afford it easily. It's kind of crazy to think that's like only 20k. I think originally it's like what, 36k, 30 something k on this game mode. So discount support temple gives is absolutely insane. So as you can see, you know, Elite Defender isn't doing, you know, as well as I thought. Even with, you know, maxed buffs, it still isn't, you know, doing as much damage as to Bloonarius as it really should at the moment. Bloonarius is pretty far along the track, and it hasn't even hit first goal. It like just hit first goal, you know, just like about now, but, you know, it's definitely not fast enough in order to actually, you know, beat Bloonarius. So anyways, I was kind of worried about the bad here that was coming along, but, you know, Elite Defender was able to beat it, you know, just fine. So it wasn't anything too worrying, but still, you know, it is kind of sad as like being out here. I am targeting the Elite Defender just to help out against the natural AI natural AI Bloons are spawning, and as well do some damage to Bloonarius. So when the Bloons do get pretty far, I end up, you know, just of course putting it back on first. Although Elite Sniper and Sun Temple seems to be helping out a lot against the group Bloons, which is kind of crazy seeing that, you know, Support Temple honestly is quite bad for its price. Even though, yes, the buffs it gives is pretty nice, but the damage it deals for $500,000, you know, really isn't a whole lot. So it really does like put in perspective, you know, just like how strong sacrifices is on Temple. If you don't have any sacrifices on Temple, you really are missing out on a whole lot of damage. You can see that bad gets pretty far. The DDTs were really scary there, but Elite Defender easily able to do it. I was hoping I would lose some lives to trigger the the lives lost buff. I probably could have actually beaten Bloonarius if I didn't had it, but of course, you know, I wasn't really sure how in the world I would purposely leak lives at this point, as, you know, Bloons are so strong that, you know, if I leak a life, I'm most likely leaking like an entire ZOMG. Although, if I am being honest, you know, Elite Defender didn't do that bad. It did take down, you know, around 2 million, a little over 2 million HP. If I did manipulate, you know, lives, I definitely would have been able to beat it, but of course there's no way I've been able to do that at this point. So there's that, you know. The Defender unfortunately was not able to beat Bloonarius. It did get to the last skull, but of course it do end up dying to the bad that ends up spawning, so there's that. I didn't really want to leave it on the lost here, so I decided, you know, just restart and then just get a bow paragon with the excess amount of money I had. So that's that. Unfortunately, Elite Defender, super buffed Elite Defender cannot beat Bloonarius by itself, which is, I guess, you know, it's not just kind of to be expected. You know, Elite Defender isn't that expensive of a tower, and it's definitely not one that you would use for boss Bloons. So even, you know, wasn't able to actually, you know, beat Bloonarius, it still did fairly well for, you know, its price. Even though it did have over $1 million in buffs, it still did fairly good. You know, that did kind of do just as well as, you know, Paragons did. It's also kind of crazy to see that, you know, a degree 1 boat Paragon and a degree 19 dart Paragon was able to actually, you know, beat Bloonarius. I thought that was actually pretty funny, seeing as, you know, I figured that you definitely need higher degrees in order to beat Bloonarius, but nope. Just a simple degree 1 boat and 19 dart was enough to beat Bloonarius. Hopefully, you know, when Engineer Paragon comes out, he'll be able to buff Paragons. Although I am thinking quite a doubt, because, you know, overclocking a Paragon sounds incredibly overpowered. Especially with Dart Monkey and the Ninja Paragon. I also got Elite Defender, you know, just cuz. So if you enjoyed the video, you know, like, comment, subscribe. Join Discord, link is down below in the description. I am debating whether or not I actually want to do this map on just like kind of Elite, and just like play around just for fun, you know, I guess do a serious Elite boss run. As it has been a while since I have done an Elite boss. I usually don't bother with boss Bloons at this point because I don't really find them too interesting now. The novelty boss Bloons kind of wore off, same with Paragons. Usually I'm just kind of waiting for the buffing Paragons to come out, as well as Super Monkey and Farm. And Village Paragon as well. And so I guess it's just kind of just waiting to see what they do. As I can tell, most Paragons are just going to be straight damage and not really provide much utility. I think something like, well, like Sub would provide some utility with, like, I guess a better Energizer cooldown. But most Paragons, unfortunately, are just going to be straight damage, so there eventually is going to get to a point where I can already tell that, like, no one's actually going to use Ninja Paragon, just because, you know, it doesn't offer as much damage as, you know, something like Ace probably could.